What's up there guys, it's Mac, hope you guys are well. Today this is a review about the new N64 wireless solutions, the wireless controllers that have been released, as well as some wired options as well. Basically, what is the best N64 controller currently on the market to use? There is one that I don't have here, which is the Admiral. Hyperkin released the Admiral. It came in a couple of colors. I got the white version before, and the actual plastic was very rough. It felt like when you make a 3D print yourself, the actual texture wasn't like polished. It wasn't, wasn't finished like these ones. It didn't feel like it was injection molded. It felt like it was a bit rough and ready. The actual triggers and the analog stick, the triggers were too close together in the Admiral, and the joystick itself was way too tiny. I just didn't enjoy it at all, and I just returned it. And it was a wireless solution. I didn't have rumble. Today we have quite a few options. First of all, I want to talk about this one. This was the one that I picked up first. This was from Retro Fighters. They released quite a few different controllers. The difference between this one and the RetroBit version is the fact that the D-pad is quite significantly larger, which is really cool. The buttons as well, the face buttons themselves are quite larger. They have a bit more of a slightly textured finish, whereas these are a bit more shiny, a bit more like the original N64 controller. I think these are a bit more smaller, whereas these C buttons here seem to be a bit more bigger. You can see the difference here. So that's a shame. I would have liked for them to implement these type of buttons, especially the larger C pad, the larger C stick buttons on the RetroBit controller. Because let me just say it now, RetroBit controller is the best one by far, and I'll get to why in a second. But as you can see, this controller is really cool. It takes a more of a traditional controller stance, like the Switch Pro controller. The triggers as well, as you can see, it's a bit more like an Xbox style controller. These ones have a bit more of a wider stance, whereas these ones a bit more well, these are digital basically, and these are trigger, which doesn't really need it to be an analog trigger, because N64 only ever had one Z button, and it was a button, it was a digital button. So it was the L and R buttons, so you don't actually need it to have analog capabilities. So it's a nice feature. It would be good for like games on the PC, but not necessarily for the N64 itself. So this one, let's go back to it again. It's a wired solution. It has a compartment at the back for a rumble pack, so you just select it, insert it like this, get your official rumble pack, and you can play like that. The bad thing about this controller is the fact that, first of all, it doesn't have rumble. Second of all, you can't really get a good comfortable grip, because the way this compartment is at the back is humongous, right? And it comes in the way, I found. I didn't realize when I used to play on the original N64, because I used to hold it at the bottom like this. But when you're holding it like a classic traditional controller, as you can see, your index fingers and your middle finger have to sort of go underneath it just to fit around this base for the rumble pack, which is really inconvenient, and it doesn't really feel comfortable. And even if you take the rumble pack out, you still have the same issue. The joystick as well, as you can see, it's a nice joystick, but I don't like the texture on this rubber over here. It's really soft. It's really I don't know if it's concave or convex, but it's the one where it comes out like a mountain, like it faces outwards rather than inwards. So it's really, like, it would be good for like maybe the secondary joystick, but for your main joystick it feels like it will constantly slip off. Whereas this one has more of a classic style, a bit more like the original N64 joystick, but it's wider. It's more like a GameCube controller joystick, and it has enough indented divots for it to have good grip. The rubber is really nice, really comfortable. So not a fan of the joystick either on here, as well as the form factor, but I do like the actual overall design. I feel like this is more of a traditional controller style, and the molding is quite nice in regards to that. But that's where the benefits end. It only connects to the GameCube, and that's about it. It has a very long 10-meter cable. It has a very long cable as well, so you won't be having issues, you know, running out of cable, basically, you'll be fine for that in the D-pad. And it comes in a variety of colors, and I believe they've released a wireless version as well, which comes with a sort of like a dongle, like a bit like this for the RetroBit ones. So the RetroFire one does have a wireless solution, but it doesn't have rumble built in. This one, on the other hand, RetroBit, is the one that I really want to talk about. It is a phenomenal controller. I've got it, I've got two because I wanted to have two for my N64, and also it has these things here. So these are the wireless dongles which go into the N64. So it goes into the N64, it's quite a tight grip. It plugs in, you have the option to select memory, which is the M, or the R, which is the rumble pack, and you can select either one. As you can see over here, I've got a memory pack inserted, so you can put a memory pack inside here and you can control your save files, or you can switch it over to rumble, and then you can reuse rumble without anything inserted. So you basically switch it to rumble, you plug it in without anything inside, and no, you don't plug this into here. Yeah, as you can see, there's nothing at the back. It basically has rumble motors built in. And it has rumble motors built in, not on the ends of this analog, not on the ends of the grips, but it has it in the middle, which is the traditional way of where you would have felt the rumble on the N64, because it would have been off the rumble pack, which would have been in the middle. So it's really cool. The rumble is quite nice. They've actually released an update for these controllers, so it's really cool that they are supporting it really well. A lot of these RetroBit controllers, as well as, you know, other third-party controllers nowadays, Hyperkin, as well as Power A, Hori, they all sort of have, also 8-bit though being the major player for classic style controllers on the Nintendo Switch. They have a lot of patches and updates and firmware updates which they always basically support, so it's really cool in that regards. So these controllers actually have a variety of macros. You can see there's a stick at the back where it has a different variety of options where you can select different modes, which allow you to play this in Super Smash Bros. Which allowed you to play this in the normal Switch controller, because it does actually have, because obviously when you plug it into the N64, it works in legacy N64 mapping, so it works exactly how it's meant to. But when you plug in this, because it also comes with a wireless dongle, it comes with a wireless USB receiver, so it basically becomes a 2.4 GHz wireless connector. So it has a wireless dongle, it's not a Bluetooth, it's a wireless dongle that connects directly to it, because it's the 2.4 GHz. So same with the USB, so you don't need to sync it or nothing, you plug it in and there is a button over here, you can just press it, it will start blinking, you then press this one on, press the start button, it will start flashing, and then it will automatically connect to it, provided that they're both present. As you can see, it has LEDs at the bottom as well, just like the Switch Pro controller, so it has 4 LEDs. Here's one green line you can see there, but it has 4 LEDs there. So it'll tell you which controller you are on the Nintendo Switch. What else? So yeah, it has the macros options at the back, so you can swap it between Super Mario All-Star option, which is a really cool feature. So it allows you to play Super Mario Bros. 64. So it allows you to play Mario 64 on the N64 on the Switch, so the actual All-Star version that came out. So it does the mappings correctly, so that the C buttons actually become the correct camera buttons. Whereas you can also switch it to more of a Pro style controller, where these become the 4 face buttons and these become other buttons, or you can do other things like that, of that nature. You can also make a legacy mode, or you can make the A and B follow the same, you know, control layout over here. So it has a few different macros options. They've actually updated that to enable a few additional features like on the triggers as well, and to make it way more better for the N64 online app that's been released for the Nintendo Switch. So, and there's also another update as well that basically prevents it from constantly rumbling when you load up the N64 online gaming app on the Nintendo Switch. So that's really cool. So it means that it now fully works with the Nintendo 64 online app, and you can play your Mario Kart 64 and other N64 games with this, and it's just brilliant. You don't need a secondary analog stick. This is basically the best N64 controller you would find on the market, hands down. You've got only 2 color options. You've got the classic grey, so I had to get that, and you also wanted the ultimate, and there's also the atomic purple, which obviously there wasn't any other solution, but I had to get that too. And it's a better purple, I think, from the RetroBit one. It looks more authentic to the original one. And I'm a big fan of these controllers. I love the fact that it's more of a contemporary style, and the original N64 controller, I actually don't like it at all. Even though I grew up with N64 and I played this to death, like the analog stick is really bad. If you play with it long enough, you get a lot of powder coming out, dust, and essentially the controller stick wears away and it becomes completely unusable. It becomes a limp stick. So I would say if you can find a different solution, because analog stick is really, you can replace analog stick, but the overall form factor is just, it worked for during that time because it was like a new phase, and people used to either hold it like this or they used to hold it like this, and hardly the D-pad was used. But it's just not comfortable, it's too big, it's clunky. Just not a fan. A lot of people are buying the remake of this, which is the wireless solution that they released on the N64 Switch Online app. But again, it's so expensive, and I don't know why you would want to buy something like that when this is way cheaper. You can buy this for £30. It has wireless rumble, guys, wireless rumble. I'm trying to get a GameCube controller that has wireless rumble, and this one is for the N64, and they do have that solution now in the more modern format, so it's really cool that they have that. Again, when you plug this in to the N64, don't swap between the memory card and the rumble pack when the power's on. So switch off the console, switch it between memory pack or rumble pack prior to powering on in your system, plug it in, and then power on your N64 and you'll be fine. It reads the memory pack fine, and it also reads the rumble pack fine when it's a rumble mode, and you don't need to plug in the rumble pack, by the way. You just basically take it out and just plug it in, change it to rumble mode, switch it on, and then it will automatically pick up rumble on the controller if the game supports it. There are obviously games that require both rumble and memory card, so those games won't actually work if you want to have one or the other. If you want to use the memory pack, you can't use the rumble on those games. In Bugs Life is an example, you either use one or the other. So that's a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. You won't be able to use the rumble feature on those games because you will need to have a save feature, which will be the memory card itself, the memory pack. Also, unlike the Retro Brawlers, unlike the Retro Fighters controller or the original N64, because the rumble is built in, there is no actual compartment that comes in the way. So for the first time, you can actually comfortably hold the controller and not feel like you're restricted, or you have to basically move around a slot that, you know, obviously was for the original rumble pack or memory pack. So it's really cool that they've got rid of that and they've implemented rumble on the device wirelessly, so it's really cool. Also, these controllers do have the start button, but they also have the minus button and the home button. So you have those two buttons over here. I think it's, yeah, so it's minus button and the home button and the start button. And also the updates now allows it to work perfectly on the N64 app on the Nintendo Switch, so you can play all your legacy N64 games with a wireless solution, but also following the color coding and the layout of an N64 controller, because on the Switch Pro controller it can be a bit confusing at times with the way the buttons are working. Also allows you to swap the individual triggers back and forth, so you can make the L and the ZL and the R and the ZR flip it if you wanted to, so it works better for how you want it. Because a lot of the N64 app controllers, a lot of the N64 games on the Nintendo Switch actually make you use the front L and R, whereas you want it to be the triggers mainly because it's more comfortable. So yeah, it's a nice comfortable size. They've taken idea from the Tribute64, which was a Hori, these are called Tribute64, so they've taken an idea from the Hori 64 controller, the Hori pad, which was in the middle, and they've actually released a wide solution by RetroBit, which was when the D-pad was in the middle and it was a wide solution. Now they released a wireless solution, and I believe they have a wide version of these as well, with the D-pad moved to the side, and it's just way better because there was no need for that D-pad to be in the middle. It just looked ugly. I wasn't a fan of it. You didn't really use the D-pad too much, and you can reach it in the middle, but it just makes more sense for it to be like this. This is the sort of layout that I recognize for contemporary controllers. Also, the actual D-pad itself is way more comfortable than the original D-pad. If you look at the original D-pad, it's so fat and it's smudgy. It's like spongy and it's fat, whereas this one is a bit more thinner and it's more clicky. Definitely an awesome controller to have nice form factor, wireless, works on the Switch, works on the N64. That's all you need, guys. Definitely buy this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Don't forget to leave a comment below. If you have any questions, let me know. What N64 controller are you using? And obviously what solutions have you guys been using, and what do you find is the most comfortable? If you have any questions about this video, let me know, or these products over here, and I'll try my best to answer every single one. Thanks a lot for watching. Do leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and until next time, take care guys. This is Mac. Peace out.